Now that we have covered the big picture, let's dive into what the life of a founder of an employee in a startup can look like. We'll do that by covering the different stages that we spoke about in the previous video. First of all, when I speak about validation, what is important to keep in mind is that it's not a binary stage. It's not like we have validated the market or not at all. Same for product or sales and marketing. No. It's more like a scale that you need to climb step by step with plenty of wins and losses in between each step. And this is why early stage startups are so hard, because you need to make a lot of bets without knowing where you should exactly go. You need to test a lot of things and to change directions quite often. And this is true for the three aspects we spoke about. Before validating the market by having a product that you can monetize, you need to make plenty of intermediary small market validations. For example, before you even have a working product to put in the hands of users, you will likely do customers interviews to understand their needs better. You'll also maybe run some user surveys, create landing pages to test your value propositions, to test your pricing, etc. Same for the product. Before you arrive at a first version that users like, you will likely make many iterations, starting with a prototype, then an MVP or minimum viable product that you'll put in the hands of beta testers to collect their feedback, until you finally arrive at the first version that people are happy about and are ready to pay for, which can take months or years. When it comes to marketing and sales, it's probably the least important aspect of the three at the very beginning, at least. Most of the time, there's no need to start a proper sales and marketing effort before you have validated some aspect of the market and product first. That being said, once you reach that point, many startups will start their branding effort by trying to do some PR or do some content marketing to spread the word, and they will also start their lead generation effort. Anyway, as you can see, startups at that stage are really into exploration mode, which explains first why there's more generalist than specialist employees, as you don't know yet on which aspects you should double down, which is the real value of a specialist. If you join a company at that stage, chances are that you work on many different aspects without necessarily going deep into one. Second, it also explains why I said in the previous video that there are opportunities for unproven, inexperienced people to grow much faster in their role. So be aware before either joining or launching a startup of the characteristics of that stage, because there might be great opportunities, but it's also a ruthless stage during which you will either fly or die. As a reminder, what I call the product market fit stage is once a startup has a first stable product, which is monetized in a way or another, and that the founders understand how to attract and convert users. You validated the market, product, and marketing aspect of your business. It does not mean that the company is necessarily profitable, and depending on how deep into the product market fit the company is, there still might be a lot of uncertainty lying ahead. That being said, it's for sure less chaotic, and it's when more structure is required. On the market side, you normally have proven that there's a need for your product and that you can monetize it. The next big step is to discover what kind of company you can really build out of it. Are you going to build a fast-growing and potentially cash-burning VC-compatible company? Or are you more on the profitable and not growth at all costs type of startup? Answer to this question really depends on your market, the competition, and your aspirations as a founder. On the product side, you have a first working version, and now the game is about making it much stronger to keep attracting and retaining users. It's why at that stage, you'll put in place much more product structure, from experienced product managers and designers to setting up real product analytics tools that will enable you to make much more data-driven product decisions. Finally, on the marketing and sales side, it's where the real work starts. To continue growing your revenue, you'll need to build a real lead generation engine, and depending on your monetization model, you might need to put a sales team in place. Anyway, as you can see, startups at that stage are really in structuring mode, which explains first why in terms of employees, specialist profiles start to have more value than generalist profiles, and second, why the first management structure is required. From an employee perspective, if you want to join a company at that stage, you'll probably have less opportunity to grow fast in your role, and it's generally harder to be recruited because experience starts to be a crucial criteria. That being said, it's also when you can really learn from more experienced people and that you can witness what a real business is. From a founder perspective, it's at that stage that you will need to spend much more time structuring your company and managing/recruiting people. It will likely be a very different founder experience compared to the early days of your company. I will not cover the scaling phase because if you want to launch a company, you have time in front of you before you reach that stage. And if you want to join as an employee this kind of company, your job will look like less of a startup one and more like a normal corporate job. Now that we've seen together in more details the characteristics of each stage, again, take a pen and paper, and if you want to be a founder and launch a startup, focus on the first stage, the validation stage, and write down the major market, product, and marketing validation that you think you need to reach in order to find a first product market fit with your company. And if you can, also write down for each the experiments and action you want to conduct in order to validate them. If you plan to join a startup as an employee, first write down what do you value more as an employee for the next 2 years. Do you want to learn from experienced people in a more stable environment, or do you prefer to jump right into the chaos of an early stage startup and have the chance to take responsibility faster? Also think about the topic that you want to work on. Do you want to work more on tasks related to the market, the product, the marketing and sales aspect of the business? Proceed tomorrow with the next video here.